Hello, dear English learners, and a massive welcome back to another pivotal and genuinely useful episode of English Fluency Unlocked. I'm your host, John, and honestly, I'm absolutely thrilled you've chosen to spend this time with me. Why? Because today we're diving deep into a topic that isn't just important, it's potentially transformative. Yes, you guessed it. We're unlocking the secrets to how to become truly fluent in English. Now, I know so many of you are diligently learning English. Perhaps you dream of communicating with greater ease, exploring new cultures through travel, excelling in your academic pursuits, or advancing your career in an English-speaking environment or an international company. Whatever your motivation, the most common mountain to climb, the biggest challenge most learners face, is achieving fluency. We're talking about that beautiful ability to speak English naturally, spontaneously, and with a deep-seated confidence, without that constant, exhausting mental translation or overthinking every single word. And that, my friends, is precisely our laser focus for today's extended session. So, if you've ever felt that flutter of nervousness when an opportunity to speak English arises, if you've ever found yourself grasping for the right words, feeling like they're just on the tip of your tongue but frustratingly out of reach, or if you've ever listened to a native speaker and wished, "Oh, I wish I could speak like that," then believe me, this episode has been crafted with you in mind. I implore you, stay with me until the very end, because I'm going to equip you with simple yet incredibly powerful, actionable tips and strategies that will genuinely help you on your path to becoming a fluent English speaker. I really want this podcast to feel like we're old friends catching up. Imagine us sitting in a wonderfully cozy cafe, the aroma of freshly brewed coffee or a fragrant herbal tea filling the air, and we're just having a relaxed, inspiring chat about how you can elevate your English. There's absolutely no stress. Here, no pressure, no judgment. Just easy, friendly, and genuinely fun learning. And here's the absolute best part, the golden nugget I want you to hold on to. Fluency is not about achieving some mythical state of perfection. So many dedicated learners fall into the trap of believing they must master every intricate grammar rule, memorize every obscure vocabulary word, or achieve a flawless, native-like pronunciation before they can even consider themselves fluent. But let me tell you, that's a misconception, a myth that can hold you back. In reality, true fluency is profoundly rooted in confidence and consistent, deliberate practice. It's about having the courage to speak without the overwhelming fear of making mistakes. It's about effectively understanding others. And it's about forging real, meaningful connections through the power of language. Why is fluency so critically important? Let's pause and really think about this for a moment. When you become fluent in English, a whole universe of opportunities magically unfurls before you. Imagine the doors that swing open. You can connect with people from diverse backgrounds, making new friends from all corners of the globe. You can travel the world with an unparalleled sense of ease and independence, navigating new cities and cultures, without language barriers. You can access a wider range of better job opportunities, potentially advancing your career in ways you haven't even imagined. You can immerse yourself in the rich tapestry of English language culture, enjoying movies, TV series, captivating books, and thought-provoking podcasts in their original, unadulterated form. English fluency, at its core, grants you an incredible sense of freedom and empowerment. So, in today's comprehensive episode, I'm going to be your guide on a step-by-step journey. I will meticulously break down 5 powerful foundational strategies that will empower you to improve your fluency in a way that feels natural, sustainable, and genuinely simple. And the good news keeps coming. You don't necessarily need a private teacher watching over your shoulder. You don't absolutely need to pack your bags and live in an English-speaking country. though that can be a wonderful experience. And you certainly don't need to chain yourself to your desk studying for 10 grueling hours a day. What you truly need is the right mindset, a positive and growth-oriented approach, and the right kind of practice, focused and effective. And, I promise, I will show you exactly how to cultivate both. Are you ready to embark on this exciting adventure? Fantastic. Let's dive in and get started. Short musical interlude, uplifting and brief. Understanding. Fluency, debunking myths and defining reality. Now that we're all settled in and ready to start, let's first take a moment to really unpack what fluency genuinely means. It's a term that gets thrown around a lot, but often with some significant misunderstandings. Many English learners, perhaps even you, might associate fluency with speaking at lightning speed, peppering your conversation with complex polysyllabic words, or possessing an accent that's indistinguishable from a native speaker from London or New York. But let me be crystal clear. This is not the true essence of fluency. Fluency is not about sheer speed. In fact, speaking too fast can sometimes hinder comprehension. It's certainly not about achieving an elusive state of perfection where you never make a grammatical slip. And it's not about trying to impress people with an unnecessarily verbose vocabulary. So, what is it then? Fluency, in its most authentic sense, is about being able to speak comfortably, naturally, and without excessive hesitation. It means you can articulate your thoughts, express your ideas, share your opinions, and engage in a meaningful conversation without constantly stopping, stumbling, or getting mentally gridlocked as you search for every individual word or grammar rule. Let me ask you a question, a very simple one. When you speak in your native language, the language you grew up with, do you speak at a rapid-fire pace all the time? Do you exclusively use highly sophisticated or academic vocabulary in everyday chats? Do you never make a mistake, never misspeak, never correct yourself? Of course not. Even native speakers pause to think. They rephrase sentences. They correct themselves mid-flow. And sometimes, they even momentarily forget a word. It happens to everyone. But the key is, they keep going. They maintain the flow of conversation, and that, in essence, is what fluency is all about. It's about effective and relatively effortless communication. So let's work together to clear up some of these common, unhelpful myths about fluency and redirect our focus towards what truly matters for effective communication: fluency versus accuracy. What's the real difference? This is a crucial distinction that many learners grapple with. There's often an immense pressure, sometimes self-imposed, to achieve perfect accuracy. Accuracy in this context refers to using grammatically correct structures, precise vocabulary, and perfect pronunciation in every single utterance. Of course, accuracy is undeniably important. We all want to speak correctly and be understood clearly. However, fluency and accuracy are not synonymous, and prioritizing one excessively over the other, especially in the early to intermediate stages, can be counterproductive. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine two English learners. Learner A, the perfectionist. This learner speaks very slowly, very deliberately. They meticulously think before they utter each word, mentally checking grammar rules and vocabulary choices. Their sentences, when they finally emerge, are often grammatically perfect. However, they struggle to maintain a natural, flowing conversation because they stop so frequently. Their speech is punctuated by long pauses, and they might appear hesitant or unsure. Learner B, the communicator. This learner speaks more naturally and confidently. They might make occasional small grammar mistakes, perhaps use a slightly less precise word here and there, or their pronunciation might not be perfect. However, they can engage in a full dynamic conversation without significant hesitation. They can express their ideas, ask questions, and respond spontaneously. Now, which of these two learners would you describe as more fluent? Overwhelmingly, it's learner B. While we should always strive to improve our accuracy over time, fluency is arguably more important for practical, everyday communication. You don't need to be linguistically flawless to connect with someone, to share an idea, or to get your point across. You need to be understood, and you need to be able to express yourself confidently. So, my heartfelt advice to you is this: don't wait until your English is perfect to start speaking. That day may never come, because even native speakers aren't perfect. Start speaking now, with the English you have today. Practice now. Embrace the imperfections, and fluency will naturally follow and grow. As your fluency develops, your accuracy will also improve as you gain more experience and feedback. Common myths about fluency. Let's bust them. Let's dedicate some time to systematically debunking some of the most pervasive and unhelpful myths that can seriously hinder a learner's progress towards fluency. Recognizing these as myths can be incredibly liberating. Myth number 1. I need to memorize thousands upon thousands of vocabulary words to be fluent. Truth. You absolutely do not need an encyclopedic vocabulary filled with obscure words. In fact, native speakers predominantly use a core set of common, high-frequency words in their daily conversations. Think about it. The vast majority of everyday interactions don't require academic or highly specialized language. Instead of trying to learn long lists of difficult, isolated words, your energy is far better spent focusing on useful, common phrases and sentence patterns, the kind of language that people actually use. Quality over quantity is key here. Myth number 2. I need to have a perfect native-like accent to be fluent. Truth. Fluency is not about mimicking a specific accent, whether it's British RP, General American, Australian, or any other. The world is beautifully diverse, and so are English accents. There are countless fluent English speakers around the globe who have distinct, beautiful accents influenced by their native languages. The truly important thing is clarity and intelligibility. Can people understand you without excessive strain? So, please, don't let anxieties about your accent hold you back. Focus on clear pronunciation of individual sounds, stress, and intonation. But don't obsess over sounding like someone you're not. Your unique voice is valuable. Myth number 3. I absolutely need to live in an English-speaking country to become fluent. Truth. While immersion in an English-speaking country can certainly accelerate learning for some, it is by no means a prerequisite for fluency. In our wonderfully interconnected digital age, you can create an immersive English environment for yourself from anywhere in the world. Thanks to the Internet, you have a universe of resources at your fingertips. You can listen to English podcasts, like this one, watch English movies and series, practice speaking with people online, and even make English-speaking friends virtually. The absolute key, regardless of your geographical location, is consistent, dedicated practice. Myth number 4. Fluency means speaking incredibly fast. Truth. Fluency is about speaking naturally and smoothly, not necessarily rapidly. Some people are naturally fast talkers in any language, while others have a more measured, deliberate pace. What truly matters is speaking with clarity, coherence, and confidence, at a pace that is comfortable for both you and your listener. Rushing your speech can actually lead to more mistakes and make you harder to understand. Aim for a natural rhythm, not just speed. Myth number 5. I am too old, or too young, or too busy, etc. to become fluent. Truth: it is never too late to learn a new language and achieve fluency. While children might pick up languages with apparent ease, adults have their own advantages, such as established learning strategies, a clearer understanding of grammar concepts, even from their own language, and often stronger motivation. Many people successfully become fluent in a second, third, or even fourth language in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond. The key ingredients are, once again, consistent practice and unwavering motivation, not age. Your brain is capable of amazing things at any stage of life. What does fluency really look like in action? Now that we've cleared away some of the common misconceptions about what fluency isn't, let's paint a clearer picture of what fluency does look like in a practical, observable sense. A fluent English speaker typically understands spoken English relatively easily. They can follow conversations, lectures, podcasts, or movies without constantly needing to translate word for word in their head or ask for frequent repetition. They can grasp the main ideas and many of the details, can respond naturally and spontaneously in conversations. They don't need long, awkward pauses to formulate every sentence. They can participate actively, ask follow-up questions, and react appropriately to what others are saying. Doesn't stop excessively to think about grammar or vocabulary. While occasional pauses for thought are normal, a fluent speaker isn't constantly derailed by searching for the perfect word or the correct grammatical structure. The flow of communication is largely uninterrupted, can explain their ideas, opinions, and stories clearly. They can articulate their thoughts in a coherent and understandable manner, even if they sometimes use simpler language or make minor errors. The message gets across effectively. Feels generally confident and comfortable speaking English. They are not paralyzed by fear of making mistakes. They embrace speaking as a tool for connection and communication, rather than a test of their abilities. Notice very carefully that I didn't say a fluent speaker never makes mistakes. This is a critical point. Making mistakes is an inevitable and, frankly, essential part of the learning process. The fundamental difference is that fluent speakers don't let those mistakes derail them or stop them from communicating. They acknowledge them, perhaps internally, perhaps by self-correcting, and they keep going. How can you measure your own fluency? A quick self-assessment. If you're wondering where you currently stand on your fluency journey, here are a few reflective questions you can ask yourself. Be honest with your answers. This is for your own understanding and growth. Can I generally understand the main points of English conversations, podcasts, or TV shows without needing to mentally translate every single word back into my native language? Can I respond to simple everyday questions in English relatively quickly and naturally without needing to plan my entire answer in advance? Can I express my basic opinions, likes, dislikes, and simple ideas in English, even if my vocabulary isn't vast or my grammar isn't always perfect? Can I sustain a simple conversation in English for, say, 5 to 10 minutes without feeling completely overwhelmed or stopping too frequently due to language difficulties? Do I feel a basic level of comfort and willingness to speak English, even if I know I will make some mistakes along the way? If you answered yes to some or most of these questions, then congratulations. You are already well on your way to achieving greater fluency. You've built a solid foundation. If you answered not yet or only sometimes to many of them, please don't be discouraged in the slightest. Fluency is a journey, not a destination, and it takes time, patience, and consistent effort. And the good news is, in this very podcast, I'm going to show you exactly how to improve in all these areas. Final thoughts on understanding fluency. Keep your focus right, to recap this crucial first section, you now have a much clearer understanding of what fluency truly means. It's not about being a flawless linguistic machine. It's not about speaking at breakneck speed. It's about achieving a level of comfort, naturalness, and confidence in your spoken English that allows you to communicate effectively and connect with others. In the next very exciting part of this podcast, I'm going to lay out for you 5 powerful, actionable steps, the core strategies that will significantly help you become fluent faster and more effectively than you might have thought possible. These are simple, practical tips that you can start implementing today. So please, stay with me. We are truly just getting started on this wonderful adventure. Your journey to fluency begins right now. Uplifting musical transition, slightly longer this time, more energetic. The 5 key steps to English fluency. Your practical roadmap, all right? Welcome back. Now that we've thoroughly established what fluency really means, and, just as importantly, what it doesn't mean, it's time to roll up our sleeves and get practical. It's time to talk about how to actively cultivate and achieve that coveted fluency in English. Many learners, despite their best intentions and hard work, often feel lost or overwhelmed. They're not sure what to focus on, what activities are most effective, or what concrete steps to take. But please, don't worry. You're in the right place. In this core section of our podcast, I'm going to share with you 5 fundamental, key steps, your practical roadmap, that will help you become fluent in English faster and more effectively. These aren't complicated theories. They are simple, actionable, and proven steps that you can begin integrating into your daily life starting today. If you commit to following them consistently, I can almost guarantee that you will see significant, tangible improvements in your speaking ability, your listening comprehension, and your overall confidence in using English. Are you ready to discover these powerful steps? Excellent. Let's begin our exploration. Step 1. Listen, listen, listen. And then listen some more. This might sound almost too simple, but trust me, it's foundational. One of the single biggest mistakes I see English learners make is not dedicating enough time to active listening. Many people are eager to jump straight into speaking, which is understandable. However, without developing strong listening skills first, speaking fluently will always be an uphill battle. Think about how babies and young children learn their first language. Do they start by studying grammar books or trying to construct perfect sentences? Absolutely not. For months, even years, they are immersed in a world of sound. They listen intently to their parents, siblings, and everyone around them. They absorb the sounds, the rhythms, the intonation patterns, the words, and the sentence structures over and over and over again, long before they even attempt to utter their first coherent words. You need to adopt a similar approach with English. The more you actively listen to authentic English, the easier it will become for you to speak. Your brain will gradually become attuned to English sounds, recognize common sentence structures, and internalize natural expressions and collocations, words that naturally go together. Listening provides the essential input your brain needs to build a strong foundation for output, speaking. What should you listen to? The world is your oyster. The beauty of modern technology is that you have a virtually limitless supply of English listening material available. English podcasts, like this one. Find podcasts on topics that genuinely interest you, hobbies, news, comedy, storytelling, science, personal development. The more engaged you are with the content, the more you'll absorb. Audiobooks. Start with simpler stories or books written for younger audiences or English learners, then gradually move to more complex narratives. Many audiobooks are narrated by professional voice actors with clear pronunciation. Movies and TV shows. This is a fun way to learn. Start with subtitles in your native language if you need to, then transition to English subtitles, and eventually try watching without any subtitles at all. Pay attention to how characters interact naturally. YouTube videos. There are countless channels dedicated to English learning, as well as vlogs, documentaries, interviews, and tutorials on every imaginable subject in English. Music with English. Lyrics. Listen to songs, look up the lyrics, and try to sing along. This is great for rhythm, intonation, and picking up informal language. Real conversations, if possible. If you have opportunities to listen to native or proficient English speakers talking to each other without the pressure of participating yourself initially, that's invaluable. How to make your listening truly effective. Listen every single day. Consistency is far more important than duration. Even 10-15 minutes of focused listening each day is much better than a 2-hour session once a week. Make it a habit. Don't obsessively translate. Try your best to understand the meaning directly from the context in English. Constantly translating in your head slows down comprehension and prevents your brain from thinking in English. Embrace repetition. Don't be afraid to listen to the same audio content multiple times. Each time you listen, you'll likely pick up new words, phrases, or nuances you missed before. Try the shadowing technique. This is a powerful method. Listen to a short phrase or sentence, then pause the audio and immediately try to repeat it aloud, mimicking the speaker's pronunciation, intonation, and rhythm as closely as possible. This directly links listening to speaking. Listen actively, not just passively. While some passive listening, e.g., having English radio on in the background, can be somewhat beneficial for exposure, active listening, where you're really trying to understand and process the content, is far more effective for learning. If you commit to making daily, active listening a non-negotiable part of your English learning routine, your brain will begin to recognize words, phrases, and sentence patterns much more naturally and automatically, making the act of speaking significantly easier and more intuitive. Step 2. Speak every day. Yes, even if you're alone. This brings us to the second key, which is the natural counterpart to listening. You must speak English every single day. Many learners fall into the "I'll speak when my English is better" trap. They wait and wait, hoping for some magical moment, when they suddenly feel ready. But this approach is fundamentally flawed. Speaking is a skill, and like any skill, playing a musical instrument, riding a bicycle, cooking, it only improves with consistent practice. You don't get better at swimming by just reading books about swimming. You have to get in the water. But what if I don't have a speaking partner? I hear some of you ask. What if I'm shy? These are valid concerns, but they are not insurmountable obstacles. The wonderful news is that you can still practice speaking effectively, even if you're completely on your own. How to practice speaking alone. Your secret weapon. Engage in self-talk. This is incredibly powerful and surprisingly effective. Talk to yourself in English out loud. Narrate your day. Okay, now I'm going to make a cup of coffee. I need to get the milk from the fridge. Discuss your plans. Tonight I think I'll watch that new movie and then read a chapter of my book. Verbalize your thoughts and opinions on things you see or read. It might feel a bit strange at first, but it gets your mouth, tongue, and brain used to forming English sounds and sentences. Describe your surroundings. Look around your room, your office, or wherever you are, and describe what you see in English. I see a tall bookshelf filled with books. There's a comfortable blue armchair in the corner. The window is open and I can hear the birds singing outside. The weather today is sunny and warm. This helps you practice vocabulary and sentence construction in a real-world context. Read aloud. Take a book, a news article, a blog post, or any text in English and read it out loud. This helps with your pronunciation, rhythm, and intonation. It also helps you get comfortable with the physical act of producing English sounds. Practice the shadowing technique. Again, as mentioned in the listening section, shadowing is also a fantastic speaking exercise. Listen to a native speaker, pause, and immediately repeat what they said, trying to copy their delivery as precisely as possible. Record yourself speaking. Choose a topic, e.g., your favorite hobby, a recent experience, your opinion on a current event. Speak about it for a few minutes and record yourself using your phone or computer. Then, listen back. Yes, it can be cringeworthy at first to hear your own voice, but it's an incredibly valuable tool for identifying areas for improvement. Perhaps you notice you pause too much, overuse certain filler words, or struggle with particular sounds. This awareness is the first step to improvement. Sing along to English songs. This is a fun and engaging way to practice pronunciation, rhythm, and learn new vocabulary and expressions in a very natural, memorable way. If you do have opportunities to speak with others, seize them. While solo practice is invaluable, interacting with other English speakers takes your learning to the next level. Join English conversation groups or clubs. Look for groups online, Facebook, meetup.com, or in your local community. These provide a supportive environment to practice with fellow learners and sometimes native speakers. Find a language exchange partner. There are many websites and apps, e.g., HelloTalk, Tandem, Speaky, that connect you with native English speakers who want to learn your native language. You can then teach each other and practice speaking. Consider a tutor or teacher. If your budget allows, working with a qualified English tutor on platforms like Italki, Preplay, Cambly can provide personalized feedback, structured lessons, and dedicated conversation practice. The more frequently and consistently you speak English, the more comfortable and confident you will become. Don't be afraid of making mistakes. They are stepping stones, not roadblocks. Just keep speaking, keep practicing, and watch your fluency blossom. Step 3. Learn useful phrases and chunks, not just isolated words. This is a strategic shift in how many learners approach vocabulary acquisition, and it can make a massive difference to fluency. Many learners diligently try to memorize long, disconnected lists of individual vocabulary words. While expanding your vocabulary is important, simply knowing a lot of words doesn't automatically translate into fluent speech. Instead, you should focus on learning useful phrases, common expressions, and sentence chunks, the way native speakers naturally use language. For example, instead of just memorizing the individual word agree, it's far more powerful to learn and practice complete phrases like, I totally agree with you. That's a very good point. I see what you mean. I couldn't agree more. You're absolutely right. By learning these full phrases, you'll find that you can speak more naturally, more smoothly, and more fluently, because you don't have to mentally construct sentences word by painful word. The chunks are already formed in your mind, ready to be used. This significantly reduces the cognitive load when you're speaking. Where to find these golden phrases? Listen intently to native speakers. Pay close attention during your listening practice, podcasts, movies, conversations. When you hear a phrase or expression that sounds natural and useful, jot it down. Watch English TV shows and movies with a notebook. These are treasure troves of everyday conversational language. Pause and write down interesting phrases, idioms, and common responses. Use phrasebooks or online resources. There are many books and websites dedicated to teaching common English phrases and idioms, often categorized by situation, e.g., greetings, asking for directions, expressing opinions. Language learning apps, apps like Anki for flashcards, can be customized to help you learn and review phrases using spaced repetition. How to effectively learn and use phrases. Focus on context. Always learn phrases in the context of a situation or conversation, not in isolation. Repeat and practice aloud. Say the phrases out loud multiple times. Try to use them in your own practice sentences. Use them in real or simulated conversations. The sooner you try to use a new phrase in an actual conversation, even with yourself or a language partner, the more likely you are to remember it. Prioritize phrases for daily conversations. Start with high-frequency phrases related to greetings and small talk. How's it going? What have you been up to? Nice weather we're having, isn't it? Asking for help or clarification. Could you help me with this, please? Sorry, I didn't quite catch that. Could you say it again? What does word phrase mean? Giving. Opinions. In my opinion. I think that, from my perspective, it seems to me that, agreeing or disagreeing politely, I see your point, but, cheech. I understand where you're coming from, however. I'm afraid I have to disagree. Fluent speakers don't usually think word by individual word. They access and deploy these chunks of language almost automatically. Start building your own mental library of useful phrases. Practice them consistently, and you'll be amazed at how much more natural and fluent your English becomes. Step 4. Think in English. Stop the mental translation. This is often one of the more challenging steps for learners to master, but it's absolutely crucial for achieving true fluency. Many English learners have a habit of thinking in their native language first, and then mentally translating their thoughts into English before they speak. This internal translation process is slow, laborious, and often results in unnatural-sounding sentences because language structures differ significantly between languages. It also creates a lot of hesitation and mental fatigue. To become truly fluent, you need to train your brain to think directly in English. This means cutting out the middleman, your native language, as much as possible when you're processing and producing English. How to train your brain to think directly in English. It takes practice. Start with simple, everyday words and thoughts. Begin small. When you look at an object, consciously think of its English name directly. For example, see a tree and think tree, not your native word for tree, and then tree. See a cat and think cat. Describe your actions and surroundings internally in English. As you go about your day, create a running internal monologue in English. Okay, I'm waking up now. It's 7 a.m. I need to brush my teeth. Then I'll make some breakfast. I think I'll have toast and eggs today. Change your device language. Set your phone, computer, and social media apps to English. This creates constant, low-stakes exposure and forces you to interact with English for everyday tasks. Use an English-to-English dictionary. When you encounter a new English word, try to look up its definition in an English Learner's Dictionary, like Oxford Learners' Dictionaries, Cambridge, Merriam-Webster Learners, instead of immediately translating it into your native language. This helps you build connections between English words and concepts directly. Practice writing in English regularly. Start a daily journal, write short stories, compose emails, even if you don't send them, or make your to-do lists in English. Writing is thinking on paper, and it's excellent practice for formulating thoughts directly in English. Label objects in your home. Put sticky notes with English names on common household items: table, chair, window, mirror, refrigerator. This visual reinforcement helps. Thinking in English is a habit that develops over time with consistent effort. At first, it might feel difficult and unnatural. You might find yourself slipping back into translating. That's perfectly normal. Just gently redirect your thoughts back to English. The more you practice, the easier and more automatic it will become, leading to significantly faster, more natural, and more confident speech. Step 5. Be consistent and, crucially, enjoy the process. This final step is perhaps the most important of all. As it underpins everything else, you must be consistent with your practice, and you must find ways to enjoy the learning journey. Many learners start their English studies with a huge burst of enthusiasm and motivation. They practice intensely for a few weeks, but then life gets in the way, motivation wanes, and they gradually give up or become sporadic in their efforts. Fluency is not a sprint. It's a marathon. It takes time, patience, and sustained effort. Therefore, the key to long-term success is to practice every day, or almost every day, even if it's only for a short period, and to make the process enjoyable and sustainable. How to stay consistent and keep the motivation alive. Make English an integral part of your daily routine. Don't treat English learning as a separate, burdensome chore. Weave it into your existing habits. Listen to an English podcast while commuting or doing chores. Read an English news article during your coffee break. Dedicate 15 minutes to speaking practice before bed. Habit stacking makes it easier. Set small, achievable daily or weekly goals. Instead of a vague goal like become fluent, set specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound, SMART goals. For example, this week I will listen to 3 20-minute English podcasts, or today I will practice speaking about my hobbies for 10 minutes, or I will learn 5 new useful phrases by Friday. Use English in real-life situations whenever possible. If you have the chance, try ordering food in English, writing a short email in English, or asking for simple information from an English speaker. Applying your skills in the real world is highly motivating. Challenge yourself. Gradually, as you progress, gently push yourself out of your comfort zone. Try to have a slightly longer conversation. Watch a more complex movie. Read a more challenging article. These small challenges keep you growing. Track your progress and reward yourself. Keep a log of your learning activities. Notice how much you're improving. When you reach a small milestone, e.g., understanding a full podcast episode, having a successful 5-minute conversation, acknowledge your achievement and give yourself a small reward. This positive reinforcement is powerful. Most importantly, find the joy in it. This cannot be overstated. If you see English learning solely as a difficult academic subject, you're likely to burn out. Instead, try to view English as a fascinating tool, a key that unlocks new worlds. a way to connect with different people, learn new things, explore diverse cultures, and expand your horizons. Learn with content that genuinely interests and excites you. If you love cooking, watch English cooking shows. If you're passionate about history, listen to history podcasts in English. Find fun and engaging ways to practice. Play English word games, sing along to your favorite English songs, join an English book club, or write creative stories in English. Focus on the positive aspects of communication and connection, rather than solely on grammar rules and vocabulary lists. When you genuinely enjoy the process of learning and using English, it stops feeling like work and starts feeling like a rewarding hobby or a natural part of your life. And when that happens, fluency will come much faster and more naturally than you ever thought possible. Final words on these key steps. Start today. Take action. So there you have them. The 5 key steps to unlocking your English fluency. Listen, 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 and then listen some more. Speak every day, even if it's just to yourself. Learn useful phrases and chunks, not just isolated words. Think directly in English. Stop that mental translation, be consistent, and enjoy the process. Make it a sustainable journey. Fluency is absolutely possible for everyone, and that includes you. But the ultimate secret, the magic ingredient, is taking consistent action. Reading about how to swim won't make you a swimmer. You have to get in the pool. Similarly, listening to this podcast is a fantastic first step, but now it's time to implement these strategies. So, please, don't wait for the perfect moment or until you feel ready. That moment is now. Start today. Take one small, manageable step towards fluency. Keep practicing, stay positive, remain confident in your ability to learn and grow, and remember, you are absolutely on the right path. Another musical interlude, thoughtful and encouraging. Common mistakes English learners make, and crucially, how to fix them. Welcome back. We've covered a lot of ground understanding fluency and outlining the key steps to achieve it. However, even with the best intentions and diligent effort, many English learners find themselves working incredibly hard, but still struggling to make significant progress in their speaking fluency. They might practice daily, complete their exercises, but still feel stuck, as if they've hit a plateau. Why does this happen? One major reason is that learners often unknowingly fall into common traps or make persistent mistakes that actively slow down their progress. Many learners make the same errors in their approach without even realizing that these habits are counterproductive. These mistakes can create frustration and prevent them from improving as quickly as they could. But here's the good news. Awareness is the first step towards correction. In this vital section, we're going to shine a spotlight on some of the most common mistakes that English learners make on their journey to fluency, and more importantly, we'll discuss practical, actionable strategies on how to fix them. If you can understand these common pitfalls and consciously work to avoid or correct them, I assure you your English learning will become much more efficient, and your fluency will improve at a much faster rate. Let's begin exploring these common mistakes. Mistake number 1. Focusing excessively on grammar rules. This is perhaps one of the most widespread issues. Many learners, often due to traditional schooling methods, believe they must achieve near-perfect mastery of English grammar before they can even attempt to speak. They spend countless hours poring over grammar books, memorizing complex rules, and agonizing over every potential grammatical error. They worry intensely about making mistakes, and this fear often silences them. Why is this a problem? It slows you down. dramatically. When you're constantly trying to recall and apply complex grammar rules in real-time conversation, your speech becomes slow, hesitant, and unnatural. You're trying to be an analyst instead of a communicator. It creates speaking anxiety. The fear of breaking a grammar rule can be paralyzing, making you reluctant to speak at all. It's not how native speakers speak. Native speakers don't consciously think about grammar rules when they talk, unless they are linguists or teachers explaining something. They use grammar intuitively based on years of exposure and practice. Language is acquired, not just learned, like a mathematical formula. Perfection is unattainable. Even native speakers make occasional grammatical slips in informal conversation. Striving for constant perfection is unrealistic and stressful. How to fix it? Shift your focus, prioritize communication over perfection. Your primary goal in most conversations is to convey your message and understand others. It's perfectly okay to make small grammar mistakes, especially if your meaning is still clear. Learn grammar more inductively through listening and reading. Absorb grammar naturally by exposing yourself to lots of authentic English. Pay attention to how native speakers structure their sentences. Your brain is incredibly good at recognizing patterns over time. Focus on common sentence patterns and chunks. Instead of memorizing isolated rules, learn common, practical sentence structures and useful phrases, as we discussed in Step 3. This way the grammar is baked in. For example, instead of deeply analyzing the rules for the present perfect tense, listen to and repeat sentences like, "I've been to London," or "She has just finished her work." Use grammar as a tool for refinement, not a gatekeeper. Grammar study has its place, but it should support your communication, not hinder it. If you notice a recurring mistake in your speaking, then perhaps look up that specific grammar point to understand it better. But don't let grammar study prevent you from speaking. Over time, as you listen and speak more, your intuitive understanding of English grammar will naturally improve, much like how a child learns the grammar of their first language without ever opening a textbook. Mistake number 2. Constantly translating in your head from your native language. We touched on this when discussing thinking in English, but it's such a common and detrimental habit that it deserves its own spot as a major mistake. Many learners construct sentences in their native language first, and then attempt a word-for-word, or phrase-for-phrase translation into English before speaking. Why is this a problem? It's incredibly slow. The mental gymnastics of translating on the fly takes a lot of time and cognitive effort, leading to long pauses and stilted speech. English has different sentence structures and idioms. Direct translation often results in sentences that sound awkward, unnatural, or even grammatically incorrect in English because word order, idiomatic expressions, and cultural nuances vary greatly between languages. It prevents true fluency. As long as you're tethered to your native language as an intermediary, you'll struggle to achieve spontaneous, flowing English. It increases hesitation and reduces confidence. The mental effort and the often unsatisfactory results of translation can make you feel less confident about your speaking abilities. How to fix it? Cultivate direct English thinking. Commit to thinking in English. Revisit Step 4. Actively practice thinking directly in English as much as possible. Start with simple thoughts, labeling objects, narrating your day internally in English. Use an English-to-English dictionary. When you encounter a new word, resist the urge to immediately find its translation. Instead, look it up in a good English Learner's Dictionary to understand its meaning and usage within the context of English itself. Immerse yourself in English input. The more you listen to and read authentic English, the more familiar you'll become with the natural English sentence patterns and expressions, reducing your reliance on translation. Practice speaking without over-preparing. Try to speak more spontaneously, even if it feels challenging at first. Just say what comes to mind in English, even if it's simpler. It's better to say something simple and direct in English than something complex but awkwardly translated. Be patient. Breaking the translation habit takes time and conscious effort. It won't happen overnight, but with persistent practice, your brain will gradually adapt to thinking directly in English. Mistake number 3. Learning too many isolated words, but not using them actively. Some learners become vocabulary collectors. They diligently memorize hundreds, even thousands of new words every week, often from long lists or vocabulary apps. They fill notebooks and create flashcards. While a rich vocabulary is an asset, simply knowing a word, passive vocabulary, is very different from being able to use it confidently and appropriately in spontaneous speech, active vocabulary. Why is this a problem? Learning words without context is inefficient. Words learned in isolation are much harder to remember and use correctly than words learned within meaningful phrases or sentences. It's difficult to recall isolated words in conversation. When you're speaking, you don't have time to mentally scan through lists of memorized words. Fluency comes from using common words well. True speaking fluency relies more on the skillful and automatic use of common, high-frequency words and phrases, rather than knowing a vast number of obscure or difficult words you rarely use. It can be demotivating. Spending hours memorizing words only to find you can't use them in conversation can be incredibly frustrating. How? To fix it. Focus on active contextual vocabulary. Acquisition. Learn words in context, not isolation. Always try to learn new words as part of a phrase, a sentence, or a real-life example. Pay attention to how words are used in the articles you read or the podcasts you listen to. Prioritize quality. Over quantity. Focus on learning fewer words, but learning them more deeply. Understand their meaning, pronunciation, common collocations, words they often go with, and typical grammatical patterns. Use new words immediately and actively. Don't just passively memorize. As soon as you learn a new word or phrase that seems useful, try to actively use it. Write a few sentences with it. Say it aloud in different contexts. Try to incorporate it into your next speaking practice session. Focus on high-frequency, useful vocabulary. Concentrate your efforts on words and phrases that people actually use in everyday conversations, rather than obscure or overly academic terms, unless your specific goal requires them. Review regularly and spaced repetition. Use techniques like spaced repetition, e.g., with apps like Anki or Quizlet, to review words and phrases over increasing intervals, which helps transfer them from short-term to long-term memory, but always review them in context. Remember, the goal is not just to know words, but to be able to use them effortlessly to communicate. Mistake number 4. Being overly afraid of making mistakes. This is a huge psychological barrier for so many learners. The fear of making a mistake, saying something grammatically incorrect, mispronouncing a word, using the wrong vocabulary, can be so intense that it prevents learners from speaking at all, or makes them extremely hesitant and self-conscious when they do. They worry that people will laugh at them, judge them, or think they are not intelligent. Why is this a problem? If you don't speak, you won't improve. Speaking is a skill that improves with practice. If fear keeps you silent, you deny yourself the very practice you need. Everyone makes mistakes. It's part of learning. Mistakes are not a sign of failure. They are an inevitable and essential part of the learning process. Every mistake is an opportunity to learn and refine your understanding. Even native speakers make occasional mistakes. It creates a negative learning cycle. Fear leads to avoidance. Avoidance leads to lack of practice, and lack of practice leads to slow progress, which can reinforce the fear. Focus on perfection kills. Communication. If you're so worried about being perfect, you lose sight of the primary goal of language: to connect and communicate. How to fix it? Reframe your mindset about mistakes. Embrace mistakes as learning opportunities. Actively change your perspective. See each mistake not as a catastrophe, but as valuable feedback that highlights an area where you can improve. Understand that native speakers are usually patient and encouraging. Most native English speakers are happy that you're making an effort to speak their language and are generally very understanding and supportive. They are far more interested in what you have to say than in finding fault with your grammar. Focus on communication, not grammatical perfection. Remind yourself that your main goal is to get your message across. If people understand you, you've succeeded, even if you made a few errors. Start small and build confidence. If you're very fearful, start by speaking in low-pressure situations, with yourself, a trusted friend, or a patient tutor. As your confidence grows, gradually challenge yourself more. Laugh at yourself kindly. Sometimes, language mistakes can be funny. Learn to have a sense of humor about it. Don't take yourself too seriously. Remember, fluency is not perfection. As we've discussed, fluent speakers still make mistakes. It's their ability to keep communicating despite those mistakes that defines their fluency. You have permission to be imperfect. Give yourself that permission. Mistake number 5, not practicing listening skills. Enough or listening passively. Many learners understandably focus heavily on speaking, reading, and writing, sometimes neglecting dedicated, active listening practice. They might think, I can read English well, so my listening must be okay, or they might only listen passively, e.g., having English TV on in the background while doing something else. Why is this a problem? Poor listening comprehension hinders conversation. If you can't effectively understand what others are saying in a conversation, you can't respond appropriately or participate meaningfully. This leads to frustration for everyone. You miss out on natural pronunciation, intonation, and rhythm. Listening is crucial for internalizing the natural sounds and flow of spoken English. Without sufficient listening input, your own pronunciation and intonation may sound unnatural. Speaking becomes harder. Your brain needs to hear how real English sounds, the common phrases, sentence structures, and colloquialisms, to be able to produce them effectively. Listening provides the raw material for speaking. Passive listening has limited benefits. While some background exposure can be slightly helpful, it's no substitute for active, focused listening where you are genuinely trying to understand and process the language. How to fix it? Make active listening a priority. Dedicate specific time to active listening. Every day, revisit Step 1. Treat listening practice with the same importance as speaking practice. Even 15-30 minutes of focused listening daily can make a huge difference. Choose varied and interesting content. Listen to podcasts, audiobooks, news broadcasts, interviews, TV shows, and movies in English. Choose topics that genuinely engage you. Listen actively. Don't just let the sound wash over you. Try to follow the main ideas, identify new vocabulary, pay attention to pronunciation and intonation. Take notes if it helps. Use transcripts strategically. If transcripts are available, you can listen once without it, then listen again while reading the transcript to catch what you missed, and then listen a final time without it. Practice. Shadowing. This technique, listening and immediately repeating, is excellent for bridging the gap between listening and speaking and improving your pronunciation. Don't be afraid to re-listen. Listening to the same audio multiple times allows you to pick up more details and reinforces learning. Strong listening skills are the bedrock upon which strong speaking skills are built. Don't underestimate their power. Mistake. 6. Not speaking enough. The perfectionist procrastinator. This is closely related to the fear of mistakes but deserves its own emphasis. Some learners study English diligently for years. They might have an excellent grasp of grammar rules and a large passive vocabulary, but they rarely, if ever, actually practice speaking the language. They keep telling themselves, "I'll start speaking when my English is better," or "I need to learn more vocabulary first," or "I'm not ready yet." Why is this a problem? Speaking is a practical skill. It requires practice. You can't learn to swim by just reading books about swimming. You have to get in the water. Similarly, you can't become a fluent speaker without actually speaking. Knowledge doesn't automatically translate to skill. Knowing about English is different from being able to use English fluently in real-time conversation. Confidence comes from doing, not waiting. The longer you wait to start speaking, the more daunting it can become, and the harder it is to overcome that initial inertia. Confidence is built through successful, even if imperfect, communication experiences. You miss out on valuable feedback and correction. When you speak, you get opportunities for feedback, whether it's direct correction from a partner or tutor, or indirect feedback from seeing if people understand you. How to fix it? Start speaking now. No matter your level, take action. Start speaking today. Revisit step 2. Even if it's just for a few minutes, even if it's just to yourself. The most important thing is to start. Lower your expectations for perfection. Accept that your early attempts at speaking will be imperfect, and that's okay. The goal is practice and communication, not flawless oratory. Find low-pressure speaking opportunities. Talk to yourself, record yourself, use language exchange apps to find patient partners, join a beginner-friendly conversation group. Make speaking a regular habit. Schedule dedicated time for speaking practice, just as you would for any other important activity. Remember that speaking helps all other skills. Practicing speaking actually reinforces your vocabulary, helps you internalize grammar, and improves your ability to think in English. Don't wait to be ready. The act of speaking is what makes you ready. Final words on mistakes. Fix these, and you'll fly. So, now you're armed with knowledge about the most common mistakes that can sabotage an English learner's journey to fluency. Focusing too much on grammar rules, constantly translating in your head, learning too many isolated words but not using them actively, being overly afraid of making mistakes, not practicing listening skills enough or effectively, not speaking enough, waiting for perfection. If you can consciously identify these tendencies in your own learning and actively work to implement the fixes we've discussed, I promise you, you will see a remarkable acceleration in your progress. You'll feel more confident, your speaking will become more natural and spontaneous, and you'll genuinely start to enjoy the process of learning and using English much more. Remember, fluency is not about achieving an impossible standard of perfection. It's about clear, confident, and comfortable communication. Keep practicing, stay positive, be kind to yourself, and soon you'll be speaking English with a new level of ease and enjoyment. A slightly more reflective musical bridge. Final tips for sustained success and lasting motivation. We're approaching the end of our deep dive today, and you've now been equipped with a wealth of knowledge, a clear understanding of fluency, 5 key steps to achieve it, and insights into common mistakes and how to rectify them. Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a few final overarching tips and a strong dose of motivation to help you stay firmly on track and make your English learning journey not just successful, but also sustainable and enjoyable. Learning a language is indeed like embarking on a grand journey. There will be moments of exhilarating progress where you feel like you're soaring. There will also be times when the path feels steep, progress seems slow, and you might even feel a little discouraged. This is entirely normal. The crucial thing is to keep moving forward, one step at a time, with persistence and a positive spirit. If you do that, you will reach your destination of fluency. Final tips for lasting success. Be unwaveringly consistent. The power of daily habits. I've said it before, and I'll say it again because it's that important. Practice every single day, or as close to it as humanly possible. Learning English effectively is not about cramming for 5 or 6 hours on one day, and then doing nothing for the rest of the week. Small, consistent daily efforts compound over time to produce remarkable results. Even 15 to 30 minutes of focused practice each day, speaking, listening, reading, or writing in English, can make a profound difference in the long run. Establish a routine. Try to integrate English practice into your daily schedule at a specific time. For example, listen to an English podcast during your morning commute or workout. Read an English article during your lunch break, or dedicate 15 minutes to speaking practice with yourself before you go to sleep. The more you make English a natural and expected part of your day, the faster your progress will be. Surround yourself with English. Create your own immersion environment. Make English an omnipresent part of your daily life. The more exposure you have to English, hearing it, seeing it, reading it, speaking it, the more naturally and quickly you will absorb the language and become fluent. Digital immersion. Change the language settings on your phone, computer, and social media platforms to English. Entertainment in English. Watch English language movies, TV series, documentaries, and YouTube videos, with English subtitles if needed initially, then without. Auditory immersion. Listen to English music, podcasts on diverse topics, and audiobooks. Have English radio playing in the background sometimes. Think in English. As we discussed, make a conscious effort to conduct your internal monologue in English, narrate your day, and think about your plans in English. If you can make English a natural and consistent feature of your environment, you'll find yourself learning almost subconsciously, without it always feeling like deliberate study. Find a speaking partner or community. The value of interaction. While solo practice is essential, speaking is fundamentally a social activity. Practicing with others is invaluable for building fluency, confidence, and real-world communication skills. Many learners, however, struggle to find opportunities for this. Seek out partners. Actively look for a speaking partner. This could be a fellow learner, a friend who also wants to practice, or a language exchange partner. Native English speaker learning your language. Join conversation groups. Explore online English conversation clubs or look for local groups in your city, e.g., on meetup.com, in libraries or community centers. Language exchange apps. Utilize apps like HelloTalk, Tandem, or Speaky to connect with native speakers for text, voice, and video chat. Consider a tutor, if feasible. A good tutor can provide structured conversation practice and personalized feedback. Remember, the more you engage in real conversations, the more comfortable and confident you will become in using English spontaneously. Don't let shyness hold you back. Most people are very supportive. Don't be afraid of mistakes. They are your teachers. We've hammered this point home, but it bears repeating because it's a major psychological hurdle. Mistakes are not just acceptable, they are a natural, necessary, and incredibly valuable part of the learning process. Every mistake you make is an opportunity to learn something new and refine your understanding. Reframe your mindset. Instead of feeling embarrassed or defeated by a mistake, try to view it with curiosity. Why did I say that? What's the correct way? Learn from corrections. If someone gently corrects you, thank them. They are helping you improve. Don't take it personally. Focus on communication, not perfection. Your primary goal is to express yourself and be understood. Minor errors rarely impede this. Even native speakers make mistakes in casual speech. So, cut yourself some slack and don't let the fear of imperfection silence you. Keep speaking. Enjoy the process. Make learning fun and engaging. This is paramount for long-term motivation and success. If you find your English learning to be a tedious chore, you're far less likely to stick with it. But if you genuinely enjoy the process, you'll learn faster, stay motivated for longer, and integrate English into your life more seamlessly. Follow your interests. Learn English through content and activities that you are already passionate about. If you love movies, watch them in English. If you're a sports fan, follow English sports commentary. If you enjoy cooking, find English recipes and cooking shows. Gamify your learning. Use language learning apps that have game-like features, play English word games, or set up fun challenges for yourself. Sing English songs. This is a fantastic way to improve pronunciation, rhythm, and learn new vocabulary and idioms in a memorable way. Write creatively. Try writing short stories, poems, or even just journal entries in English about topics you care about. Celebrate small victories. Acknowledge and appreciate your progress. Did you understand a whole podcast episode? Did you have a short conversation in English? Did you learn a new set of useful phrases? Pat yourself on the back. These small wins build momentum. When you make learning enjoyable and personally relevant, it stops feeling like study and starts feeling like a rewarding and enriching part of your life. Motivation. You absolutely can do this. I know from personal experience and from talking to countless learners that the journey of learning English can sometimes feel daunting. There might be days when you feel frustrated, overwhelmed, or when you think to yourself, "I'll never be fluent." These feelings are normal, but I want you to remember this. Every single fluent English speaker you admire was once a beginner. Every single one of them struggled, made mistakes, and felt unsure at times. Think about a small child learning their native language. They don't worry about grammar rules or perfect pronunciation. They don't fear making mistakes. They just listen. Intently, they eagerly try to copy the sounds and words they hear, and they bravely attempt to speak, driven by a powerful desire to communicate and connect. and slowly, steadily, through countless hours of immersion and imperfect practice, they become fluent. You can do the same with English. The capacity for language learning is inherent in you. Believe in yourself. Trust in your ability to learn and grow. You are capable of far more than you might think. Trust the process. The strategies and steps we've discussed today are proven and effective. If you apply them consistently, you will see results. Keep going, especially when it feels slow. Progress is not always linear. There will be plateaus, but even when you don't feel like you're making rapid progress, you are still consolidating your learning, and breakthroughs often come after these periods. Don't give up. One day, sooner than you think, you'll look back and be amazed at how far you've come. You'll have a conversation, understand a movie, or read an article, and you'll suddenly realize, wow, I did it. I'm communicating in English. Fluency is not some distant, unattainable dream. It is a very real and achievable goal. And by being here today, by investing your time in learning how to learn more effectively, you are already firmly on the right path. And with that, we've reached the end of this very comprehensive episode on how to become fluent in English. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for listening, for engaging, and for committing to your English learning journey. I sincerely hope that you found these tips, steps, insights, and words of motivation genuinely helpful and inspiring as you continue to progress. Remember, fluency doesn't magically appear overnight. It's a gradual unfolding, built brick by brick through consistent practice, unwavering patience, and genuine dedication. But with these elements in place, you will get there. Keep applying the strategies we discussed today. Stay positive, stay curious, and always stay motivated. If you enjoyed this podcast and found it valuable, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel or follow the podcast on your favorite platform so you don't miss out on any future episodes packed with more useful content. If you have any questions, thoughts, or perhaps your own experiences and tips to share, please feel free to leave a comment or send a message if the platform allows. I genuinely love hearing from you, and your insights can help other learners too. And lastly, and most importantly, please don't forget to keep practicing every single day. You are on the right path. I truly believe in your potential. Keep speaking, keep listening, keep reading, keep writing, and most importantly, keep believing in yourself. Thank you once again for joining me today on English Fluency Unlocked. Until next time, I wish you happy learning, great success, and please take very good care.